What's up, everybody? Who's ready for the best fucking horror podcast in the world? It's my bloody podcast on December 6th, and we are all trans today because we are talking about the Transfiguration, a vampire movie, which is a little tall tale that we're going to be getting into later in the month with Nosferatu. I am Bryan Kluger, and I am joined by two excellent people who are just, walking the neighborhoods thinking about becoming vampires, I do
Can you
believe.
redo that? Can you redo that?
Why?
I'm not comfortable with the trans comment.
No?
No, like, can we redo that really?
Okay. All right, here, hold on.
Some of them, I just, yeah, not comfortable with that.
You don't want to be a trans vampire?
No, I'm just, with the amount of fucking people attacking stuff, I would like to keep my friends very close and sheltered and by my bosom. And I just don't want any kind of, yeah.
All
So
right, let's see here. Um, all right, here we go. I'm gonna just replay that one. I can edit it out. And we are blood suckers today. There we go. All right. Give me a second. I lost my train of thought because I didn't think that was a
That's why I just
bad.
start from the top,
All
and
right.
then you can just roll through.
it's not that it's so bad. It makes me uncomfortable. So let's just not.
Okay. Um, all right. In from Denton, Texas, we've got a man who loves watching horror movies on VHS, mostly vampire films. It is Preston Barta. What's up?
Uh, I wish we were watching a happier movie because I feel like you only exist to hurt people, Brian, and hurt. Maybe it's better not to exist at all. No, I'm kidding. You know what? I was thinking after watching this, or actually watching this film, I was just so thankful that I had somebody in my life who I can just lay in bed with and watch vampire movies with, and it's not you, Brian. It's my wife. So.
Are you sure? You know I would be a good cuddler to you. You know it. Would you? Is that a Mike Myers mug that you're drinking out of?
Mike Myers, yeah.
Yeah. Michael Myers. All right. Also coming in from Florida, she is a woman and she makes friends with all of them bloodsuckers out there. Her name is Chelsea Nicole. How are you?
This, I think, was one of the saddest things I've seen. And yeah,
Okay.
in a
Well,
in a horror. Thanks. No fucking thanks.
no, this movie's great. We're going to be talking about a movie you probably have never heard of. It came out in 2016. It's called The Transfiguration. It's a vampire film. We're going to be getting into that, but a little first bit of news in the horror realm, some fun news. We all saw Terrifier 3 back in Fantastic Fest in September, but it looks like it's done so well. It's the highest grossing unrated movie ever. Terrifier 3 is coming back to theaters on Christmas Eve, which is so badass. I'm very excited about this. Is anybody going to go see Terrifier 3 on Christmas Eve?
I really want to take my wife to go see it. I know that I've told her everything about it, so I think she's primed for it. And she sat in on a few moments when I was watching Substance, so I think she can handle it. But I'm excited about that they're adding some bonus content to it. So hopefully it's not 2.5 hours long like the second one, but I'm down for seeing the third one. I haven't seen it again since we first saw it at Fantastic Fest. So I feel like it's just existed in my brain so well that I am kind of nervous to watch it again because it's currently on my top of the year list and I fear that it will fall off, but I don't think so.
You don't think so? Yeah, I don't think so either. But just because it's a film that like deserves to be seen with a loud audience. And I don't know, I haven't seen it since Fantastic Fest either. So that audience was packed at midnight.
Hmm.
Now, watching it at home alone, I feel like I'll still enjoy it, but will it have the same entertainment value as it
It
did
doesn't
back
play
then?
the same. I saw it. I saw it. I Mike and I went and we saw it, and just like the like the sounds from people in the theater were just so good. Like I knew what was coming. Nobody else did. And just the sounds from everybody. Yeah. This it's definitely something to watch with the crowd.
But I'm excited that it's Christmas Eve, so I'm hoping maybe some little youngins will get in there and be like, "Ooh, a horror movie," and just that first scene and whatever else comes their way on Christmas Eve. I'm kind of excited about to see how that goes and how much money it will make on Christmas Eve and
Fuck
Christmas
them
Day.
kids.
Right? It'll kill them kids. It's basically what it is. Art the Clown does not discriminate, which I like. So that piece of news, pretty cool. And I think it's available digitally now. Like it came available
Yep.
digitally last week, so you can watch it at home or you can go to the theater and watch it, right?
Yeah. And the Steelbook's coming out soon.
Yeah, did you
That
did you get like yeah, this the Terrifier like trilogy and part three, they all had like this big ass release. Did any of you get that big set?
I'm trying to wrestle up the dough to get that Umbrella
Yeah.
release that I've brought up on here
Oh
before,
yeah.
just because it's $130, but I want that VHS of the third one. I
Yeah,
think it's cool.
that would be sweet deal.
But
Um,
also at some I think in the UK they have a release of it where it comes with that poster that I really like of that's homage to the Freddy Krueger poster of his glove of his hand being over the house and
yep.
it's Art the Clown over it. I really want that poster and it comes with it. And that's like one of the very few ways that you could get that poster next to going to the special release that they had in the UK for it. Because I've been searching for it on eBay and nobody has put one up yet.
Damn. All right. Is that will that go in your office as one of the
Yeah, yeah, I'll put that up because it's not a very big poster. It's like 11 by 17 or something, but it's such a cool design.
All right, all right. I like it. Another movie that's coming out that I'm pretty fucking pissed about that they didn't screen it or anything, but Werewolves. There's a movie called Werewolves. Not the werewolf, not Wolfman, not the werewolf, but Werewolves. I want to see this. Why has there not been a screening for us? Why have they not sent it? What is going on? Because it looks
I
badass.
I've had some friends that saw it and they said it wasn't great. But I
Um,
also they're also not fans of like the Purge movies. So
is it very Purge-like
apparently
outside of
it's very Purge like.
Is
huh,
it well, is it this is the one with Frank Grillo, right?
yeah.
Yes.
So that makes sense,
Yeah.
oddly. But it's so I don't get so it's very Purge-like in the way that everybody in the world knows that on full moons there's a werewolf
I
outbreak.
I haven't gone into specifics. I'm just in a like a women's group for horror and stuff, and someone some of them had seen something, had seen some, and I don't know. I still want to see it though, because
No, I
I
think it'll be
the
awesome.
one the one thing they do talk about is that this when the werewolves are on screen, they look insane.
Yeah,
That's what I was getting from the trailer. That got
Yeah.
me excited to see it.
Yeah, they said the werewolf like design, all that stuff, and the way they move is very weird.
yeah. No, I really wanna see this. So not
When
all I know.
does
Huh?
this have a release date?
Today. Came
Yeah,
out today.
today.
Ooh.
Friday. Friday
Okay.
today, which is weird because I don't under see like being a film critic, you usually get press releases from studios about this type of stuff, and most time you might get a link and or they'll screen it, but like there's been nothing about this and I just don't understand, like was this such a cheap movie to make that they didn't want to spend money doing screenings at all, or did they go like the nightmarish route and was like only the influencers can watch this? But I don't know. It, it seems like if I was a PR person, I know that all the critics are inundated with the movies to vote for now, but this would be such a palate cleanser. Everybody would probably love it because we're all watching movies like The Brutalist and these heavy movies at the end of the year. So, like, Chelsea, welcome to this world of film criticism where for 2 months you're going to start watching crazy, long, hefty movies, but then you watched Hundreds of Beavers last night, and it's such a palate cleanser from
I
all of.
was just gonna say such a palate cleanse of going from the brutalist to this movie, the Transfiguration. And I had started the last showgirl, but then you're like, no, that's depressing too. And I'm like, fuck, I need something good. Like, and Hundreds of Beavers was literally Looney Tunes on acid. So
Yeah, that's why I look forward to, and I think Preston looks forward to those January, February movies that
Yeah,
because
that's
it
why we
is.
give those stupid movies 5 stars.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
Megan. Like Megan came out in January. Like it was just like,
Megan's
oh,
fun though.
well, that was in January or so, and it's movies like that where it's like, oh, this is what I need. So I
Yeah.
wish with something like Werewolves, it was like, yes, here, have this as a palate cleanser to all the movies you're watching now, because I guarantee you, people would have gone to see it. It would have been great. But now I don't know what to do because I don't really want to go pay to see it. So, I mean, I know I
Oh, poor Brian paying to see a movie.
no, I mean, we do. I mean, a bunch of us have like hookups here as far as like we have like year-long passes to see whatever movies we want at certain theaters, but it's just a thing that we want to help us help you type of thing. Like allow us to come watch your movie and we'll like promote it. But I don't know. It's something and I wish at
Let
least
the man
for.
watch the Wolf movie.
Yeah, my bloody podcast wants werewolves. All right, all right.
By the
Enough.
way, that movie Werewolves is 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, and as we've established, there it doesn't seem like it was really well put out there. But usually, the folks that don't get the opportunity to see it will go see it right away. So maybe these are the horror aficionados that have attached the review to Rotten Tomatoes. But I'm seeing a Werewolves is not quite stupid enough to be a guilty pleasure and not quite good enough to be an innocent one. Frank Grillo stars as a molecular biologist who's also handy with a gun, fighting werewolves spawned by a supermoon, if you can believe it.
I am trying to figure out if I can see Frank Grillo as a molecular
I
biologist.
was just gonna say that man's face would not be a molecular biologist. His whole aura does not scream.
It's just like he's nerdy, pushing up
Yeah,
his glasses,
no,
pocket protector, and then he's just a badass, when the night
absolutely not.
comes.
That dude's so undercover. Yeah.
Yeah,
Seriously. All right, all right. That's kind of what happens. That's what it is. Oh well. All right, let's move on to some cool news. I can't believe it. It's actually happening. We've had some news. We've had a little bit of things come out over the past several months about this movie. Nobody really knew if it was actually going to happen because everybody's been wanting it for years and years. They finally released an official poster for 28 years later, the third film in the trilogy of the 28 Days Later from Danny Boyle, the zombie movie. 28 weeks later, now we're finally getting 28 years later. It is a movie poster, and the tagline is "Time didn't heal anything," and it's got that hazmat
Uh-huh.
symbol on it with tons of red skulls. It says 28 years later. This movie is actually happening, and it will be released in theaters June 20th, 2025. And it's going to star Craven the Hunter himself, Aaron Taylor Johnson, as well as bringing back Ralph Fiennes to it. Ralph Fiennes, however you say it, from the menu.
Rafe. Rafe
Rafe,
finds.
It's Ralph. Ralph
It's
is in it.
Rafe.
It's.
Rafe,
I'm reading Ralph. What am I
But that's not
saying?
how he
that's
pronounces it.
Rafe.
Just like it's Willem Dafoe.
It's Rafe Fiennes?
Yep.
Rafe Fiennes.
Rafe Fiennes. Well, where does is the I guess the L is silent. That's just there to fuck with me. Man, that reads Ralph. Okay, whatever. Uh,
Wreck-It
Rafe Fi-
Rafe. Yeah.
Right. That's
Rafe.
exactly where my brain went. It's like Wreck-It Ralph.
Rafe Fiennes. That does not make sense at all.
You,
Um,
you tell him one day.
I
Adele
will.
Dazeem.
Why is your name Ralph? Boy, your
Why does
name's
your name,
Ralph.
how does your name make sense?
Yeah, it doesn't. Cillian Murphy is executive producing and reportedly returning to star in this movie as well, although they haven't officially announced it. But I'm telling you, I'm telling you that this movie, this third movie, 28 years later, with Danny Boyle coming back, I'm just this music to my ears. I'm so excited for this. Are y'all excited for this, or has it been too long?
Any Alex Garland, I'm strapped the fuck in.
Yeah, for sure.
Literally.
What do you
But yeah.
want from this movie? Because the first movie is very grounded in its London roots, and at
Mhm.
the end of the at least the theatrical version is that it seems like everything was saved. The three people were going to be saved and everything. And then in 28 weeks later, it shows that it can spread really fast, and then you see Paris getting it. And now 28 years later, what is the world like? What do you want from this movie?
I mean, I like that tagline a lot. Time didn't heal anything. I think it just speaks a lot to this endless cycle of when you think things are going to get better, it just turns to shit again, or it is always shit. And so I find that to be really interesting. Like maybe they were able to get rid of what was that current virus or the virus that existed in the first two films, but this has maybe even evolved further. So I want something that feels a little bit different and not just like every Lego sequel type of thing where it's we're going to do the exact same thing. It's just years down the line. I want there to be some sort of evolution here that feels exciting and has the same kind of fucked upness of the first two films. And I don't know, I feel like both Alex Garland and Danny Boyle are very smart filmmakers. I know that this film was shot on an iPhone 15. So I don't know that it's going to be it seems very exciting to me. I'm very anxious to see some footage for this.
I am too.
Yeah.
I, I'm wondering if Danny Boyle is going to use the shutdown, the lockdown, COVID-19, the pandemic as part of this, because like you said, it could be a new strain that peaks up, and then you have what happened that there's a bunch of people that didn't believe in it, and maybe there was a vaccine that people don't believe in to help to keep you from getting this kind of zombie virus type of thing, rage. And I wonder if they're going to incorporate any of that into this movie.
Maybe it'll just be sadness virus. Like everybody's
Oh,
just sad.
Just a sad emo zombie.
Yeah. Or the fact that population is way down that they're able to like this would also be cool and very on brand with Alex Garland to they're able to like grow things that have never existed before, like these types of plants that maybe have medicinal value and all kinds of stuff like that. So that would be really cool too, just to kind of amp up the supernaturalism or the sci-fi aspect of it, but in a way
mhm.
that doesn't feel too uh, far away from what a reality in that world would be.
Yeah, like most of humanity's gone extinct, but now we've uh re not planted or like revived things that they had millions of years ago kind of thing, and now that can
Yeah.
flourish.
But a
That yeah.
casualization of it too,
Yeah.
like where it feels normal. Like when we're watching it, everybody's existing like it's like, oh, in a way that's not very showy, like, oh, look at this plant, it's awesome. Or it just feels like their everyday routine. But when we're watching it, we're like, holy shit, that's cool. That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what you want. No, I want something like that too. I want a return to form because I mean I like 28 weeks later. I'm really hoping for the best, and I can like you, Preston. I cannot wait to see footage of this movie and how great it will be, or if we'll get the same kind of score that we have from the previous films that we know, like kind of
Who
the
was it?
music.
John Murphy or somebody
John,
Murphy?
John Murphy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited
Uh,
to see what it was.
do you I do you think that the like rage virus zombies are the scariest ones to you? Because they are to me.
I think yeah, Brian has all. I think he said that the running ones are the
Yeah.
scariest.
It's the like running however it's the moving fast however they can that
Well,
gets me.
it's like I mean it's
Yeah,
same as
that gets me.
James Gunn's and Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. I think with like Walking Dead and Night of the Living Dead, Romero zombies, you could technically get around them, run around them. They're scary. They get a hold of you. It's hard to get away. But if you have 28 Days Later or the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead zombies that run, that's an added thing. Or even, Zombieland. They're running at you, and then they're physically trying to kill you by any way necessary. And
Yeah.
that is
Yeah,
scarier than just, kind of like,
it's
like a wino coming like
yeah,
hobbling around you, that the
yeah. It's hard to kind of see the intensity within that nowadays after seeing a movie like Shaun of the Dead, where they're just going pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
You
yes,
know?
right. And so like I mean, and of course what 28 Days Later did to the zombie genre was so different.
Yeah.
Danny Boyle just 180'd all of the rules. Instead of it taking, a full day to convert you, it took 3 seconds. Instead of
Hmm.
walking, you're running as fast as you can.
Yeah, and that's terrifying.
That's awesome that
Yeah, that's like
if you get yeah.
nobody's hiding someone for 48 hours while they turn.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
it's
instant. You have to
yeah,
make
it's
that
yeah.
decision. And so the running aspect makes sense then, because if you have like a zombie who's decaying, in The Walking Dead, they're not going to be able to run. Their bones will break off. I mean, they'll just be like almost very brittle. But in 28 Days Later style, they're full on going, and I don't know how fast they're decaying yet or what they do to survive. So I wonder also if 28 years later, since they've had 28 years, maybe all this they can see what makes them tick, what they need to feed. I hope they go into that. So
I'm sure
Yeah.
they will. It's gonna be like a this is what's happened in these 28 years and how we've learned to survive. But I do want them to get to put a new kind of like, problem in there that's that's interesting enough to where uh we're all scared for our lives again.
do you want like a what's it called? Oh man, the Resident Evil type of thing, or Left 4 Dead type of thing, where there's like
No,
human zombies, but then there's like a mutated monster tentacled zombie that comes out at all.
no, I think that's been done. Like you said, it's been done. Left 4 Dead, Resident Evil, even The Last of Us has
Stuff
uh,
like that.
stuff like that. I like how they keep the zombies fast and mean and scary. And I I think these are when I think about really scary, like when I think about zombies, I don't think about slow moving ones anymore. I think about the 28 weeks later, 28 days, 28 years later ones, and it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah. Rage Monkeys. I really hope that that Danny Boyle's coming back to direct, that maybe the world has outlawed like PETA or like groups that promote animal wellness, because what started the zombie outbreak was
Mhm.
a group that wanted to save animals like PETA.
Gonna be like Wicked.
Yeah, right. It comes full circle. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's 28 years later is happening, and I'm excited about it. So yeah, there's that kind of coolness going to it. Also, Guillermo del Toro has said he has revealed that he is remastering Nightmare Alley with an extended cut and all in black and white. Did
Mm,
we like this movie? Does anybody care? Does anybody want this? Will this movie be better in black and white? What do you think?
I liked it.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I
You
I
liked
like
it? Do you want to see it
Uh,
again in black and white?
sure. I still haven't seen the black and chrome version of Furiosa, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't know what the black and whiteness of it will add to it other than just the fact that that movie is such a celebration of the type of horror, universal horror
mhm.
from the 50s that maybe it would have some of that feel to it, but I also really like the color of it. So it gets into a whole discussion, kind of like the black and chrome with Mad Max Fury Road, where that movie's so beautiful with the color. Why would you want to take it out of it? But then there's some enhancement to some of the action scenes because it allows you to focus more deeply on the action rather than get kind of lost in the color of the world. So I feel like it would just be its own individual experience, but I feel like I'll still have a preference to the colored version of it. But the director's cut of it or the added scenes would be interesting to me because I feel like that story has so much going on in it that maybe some more room will allow the brain to kind of allow the brain to be more accepting of everything that's going on there in that story. So I don't know. I'm curious. I trust him, Guillermo del Toro. So I'll give it a watch.
All right. What about you, Chelsea? Do you like when movies go black and white?
I do think he has um that it, for something like this, that movie would be a good kind of thing to put in black and white, like a little noir moment. Um I trust anything Guillermo del Toro does. I love that man. Think his mind is amazing. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
But I do find it more interesting what filmmakers like Robert Eggers is doing with, Nosferatu to make it feel like a black and white movie, but it's not. But it just feels that way. Same thing with the Babadook. It feels that way as well.
Yep,
Yeah.
I agree. And even with Nosferatu, which we'll talk about on a whole other episode, but I get that the color pattern has a emotional shift to it. So I like
Mhm.
that. Um, all right, I want to talk about like we want to cross promote our other show, Fear and Loathing in Cinema podcast. We just had our 100th episode. How did y'all enjoy that? Did y'all have a good,
Yeah.
wild, ridiculous time on that show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was I feel like we were the last ones left standing. That was a party. That was a chaotic party and it felt just like the movie. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
It did.
It actually it made me smile when when you brought in Mike and Andre. I was like, "Oh shit, man, I should call David Lowery right now and, and just see if he'll come and join us."
Uh,
So yeah, that was really cool.
no, it was fun. I had been working with them for a couple weeks about their timing and everything, and I had no idea how it was going to go or what was going to happen, but they wanted to do it, and I'm glad they did. And it was so funny just because, just like Fear and Loathing, you didn't know what was going to happen, and it was fun to edit just because. Listen,
Andre's store, like he kept getting
yeah.
Yeah,
cut off
that was
at
so
the
good.
best places and yeah, it was amazing.
Right. So both Andre and Mike were having internet issues because Andre was in the car and Mike was in
And in
Colombia.
Vegas.
Yeah, and in Vegas, and Mike was in Colombia. And so Andre was telling this great story, and it just kept
Andre
cutting out.
Gower. I don't
Yeah.
know if we said that.
Yeah, yes, Andre Gower from Monster Squad and Wolfman's Got Nards and everything. He's been on the show a bunch of times before, but he was telling this great story, and it just kept his internet kept cutting out, and he kept leaving the meeting, and he came back into the Zoom call, and it was leaving out at like when an episode would leave you on a cliffhanger, and listening back to it and then editing it to like all of us laughing at those moments and then him coming back was so good. It was so funny. And listening when Mike came in, because we were doing our news portion of Fear and Loathing, our 100th episode of Fear and Loathing. And when Mike comes in, Preston goes, "Oh shit." It was so funny. You sounded really excited.
I was, yeah. Yeah,
So
because
I'm
we
glad.
haven't talked to him in a long time, and I felt like we've been talking about him quite a bit, episode to episode. And so when he popped up early, I don't know, it was just like seeing an old friend that just happens to open the door at the right time, kind of feel.
Yeah, that was fun. It was a good 100th episode. It's weird to think about that when our other colleague Dan Moran, him and I during the
By the
pandemic.
way, why did he step out for like that whole thing?
What do you mean?
He like wasn't in frame at
Dan
Oh,
all.
disappeared.
no, I think he leaned back in his chair in his
Okay.
Oh,
I
his
that
felt
makes
like
more
he
background, his
sense.
stepped
virtual
away and then
background couldn't
he
see
just
him.
happened to pop his head right back in when everybody was done.
Yeah.
It was like, he's like, nah, this is too much for me.
We can ask him on episode 101, but I think he just leaned back and
Okay,
he did that just because he has the virtual background and that can happen. So I thought that was funny.
that
Um,
makes more sense because yeah, I like Preston. I was like, did he go somewhere? Like, did he have an emergency? What? I don't know.
I don't think so. I
He's
think
like,
that's what he.
maybe he got scared when you started saying like, "Hey Preston, do you have a question for Mike? Hey Chelsea, do you have a question for Mike?" And then he didn't want to be there because he didn't have a question or
He's
something.
like, I don't want to.
Yeah, he's like, oh, he was. I think he was listening to all of that, so I thought that was fun, and it was just, I had no idea because Mike and I had talked about coming on the show and what his schedule was. So I knew he was doing night shoots, and
That poor man was so
he was
sleepy.
so tired, and I
Yeah.
felt so bad.
I felt so bad, but then he came back on to say
Yeah.
like a proper goodbye, and
Yeah,
like it was
It
like
was
he had
very
just had a
nice.
coffee or something.
yes, yeah. It was pretty good. Going back and listening to it and Preston's question about like, did you have Thanksgiving dinner? And he's like, I had chicken fingers and French fries. And
And
that was
flan.
so fun.
Yeah.
It plays well, and it was just so funny. But yeah, you can see how tired he was because
Now I
of,
want to ask him, what do you think the benefit is of someone like Jennifer Lopez and Clint Eastwood who really make it a high priority to get 8 hours of sleep at least, or start at a certain time of day, end at a certain time of day, and I gotta be home to get my sleep. I
well,
wonder
for
how if he's envious of that.
Well, they could probably get away with that. I don't know if Mike can yet in his career, but from what I hear, from what he's told me, is that he had to leave for set at 4:30 and then he gets back to the hotel like maybe at 11 or noon. So he only has like a few couple hours to sleep. So he's running on fumes, and being a director and being overseas and all of that, it just that probably he's just like his mind's going a million different ways. So I'm very excited and grateful that he came on our little
He definitely
show.
seems like somebody who just thrives on chaos.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not that like I am that person for maybe like 3 days, and then I will just like break down. I'll be like, this is too much. But he's been there since what, like August, he said.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I hope he gets a good sleep, good few nights sleep though, and comes back rested.
And Mike got really excited when Andre came on the show too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
goes, oh,
He was excited. So yeah, that was fun. I'm glad that happened. And we had 100 episodes just because when Dan and I started that back in the pandemic in the lockdown, we only did like 4 or 5 episodes, and we came back like a year later, and Preston joined and Chelsea, you joined, and now we're at 100 episodes, which is crazy. I'm very happy
Yeah.
about it. And then this show, My Bloody, I feel like Preston, I've been doing this for years.
What was it, 2017 or something? I can't
Yeah.
remember. It's been a
Yeah.
while.
we have close to 160 episodes in the can of this, but yeah, we did take long breaks. But then Chelsea joined
Yeah,
and keeping us on track. So
yeah.
what?
Careening off the track.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
going away. So yeah,
You should go back and listen to some of those episodes where I didn't stop Brian from saying whatever he wanted to say. He just said it.
Yeah, that I mean that's fine. That's fine. Just let me know the episode numbers and I'll listen to them today.
Gee, I don't even know.
I don't even know either, but we on My Bloody Podcast we used to have kind of a different format. We
Yeah.
we did news.
My
We
bloody
did we
question.
did a My Bloody question which we asked ourselves and then asked the internet. We did a soundtrack portion of the show from usually the movie, and then songs that were could be related to the movie, and then we did the movie, and then what else did we do? We had like a whole format for
I really missed the song one. I liked that idea of just what is the song, whether it's part of the film soundtrack or not, or just like what is the vibe like of that
We're gonna
film
bring that
captured
back.
in a song.
We're gonna bring that
we can't. I
back for
mean, it was
Nosferatu.
fun. It was fun because I
Yeah.
remember doing it
That's
for Joyride, the movie with Paul Walker and
yeah.
Lee Sobieski, and we had some really fun
Didn't
like
we have
songs.
Gwen Reyes on that show?
Did we have Gwen on that? I'm
We
trying
had
to.
Gwen on for one of them, and I want to say, or no, it might have been Susan. I can't remember, but we had somebody on for that one. That was a fun one.
Oh, that's a fun one, the Joyride one. So yeah, we've evolved. We might bring back the song one because that was really fun. But we used to have a different format on Bloody, my Bloody podcast. But it's grown. It's grown. We're happy about it. So yeah, here we are. And we're gonna talk about this little movie, the Transfiguration, a horror vampire movie from.
Unfortunately, it is not a movie about Professor McGonagall's
Yeah,
class.
yeah.
Yes, it is not. This movie premiered at Cannes Film Festival in 2016 and later released in 2017. It is written and directed by Michael O'Shea, who this is the only thing that man has done. He has not done anything before or since the Transfiguration. It does star Eric Ruffin, Chloe Levine, and Aaron Moten, which Aaron Moten could be seen in the most recent season or the first season of Fallout. He is one of the main players in that show. Also, very funny cameos from Fessenden and Lloyd Kaufman are in this one. But we are going to do a big episode on Nosferatu before the year's end. And this movie has a lot to do with Nosferatu. But I saw
Movie
this
has
movie.
a lot to do with movies.
It sure
Yeah.
does. We're going to get into that. The Transfiguration, I saw this when it came out. It was released. They sent a link for it, and then it was on Netflix for a while. But I just loved every bit of this movie because it kind of has elements of the HBO's The Wire and vampires, and then the film talks about movies a lot, horror and vampire movies that you've seen. And I just like the indie quality about it. But I don't think Preston or Chelsea have seen this. So let me go, Chelsea. I know what did you initially think about this movie watching it? Like did you expect something else or what did you expect?
Yeah, I did expect something else when you're telling me, "Oh, watch this vampire movie for our horror podcast." So I'm thinking, okay, it's I see this young boy, it's going to be like a teenage coming of age story. And that's not what it is. It's very art house kind of slice of life, but it's bleak once we get to the end and we'll get there. But I stayed up last night just thinking about this and how sad it is.
Well, and I think it is sad, but like they say in the movies, and what this main character says throughout. when he's talking about vampire movies, it's not realistic because they sparkle,
Yeah.
they true, we see the good sides kind of vampirism and not this side. And I thought that was so different. So kind of
And
like,
there's a lot of little things along the way that are kind of like very cliched things or like tropes about vampires that you're like, oh, he's doing this because he's a vampire, and this is what happens when he eats like human food. Of course he's gonna. And then you come to the end, and I'm just like, oh my god, what have you? Another heartbreaking movie.
all right. So when I was watching this again yesterday, part of me was thinking like, oh my God, please don't let there be a dog death for Preston here because there might be, because it has a little element
Because
of
the whole movie's
freshness.
fresh.
Yeah, the whole movie's kind of fresh and it's like but vampires and I was like, thank God they didn't kill a an animal in this or a dog like in the same way. But there are some pretty crazy moments here.
I mean, there's
But
animal footage.
there
Yeah.
is,
You can kind of
and that
tell.
the animal footage is
But
from
that brought
Faces of
me
Death.
back. That brought me back to like rotten.com and like
It
Yeah,
was
stuff like
that
that when
that
I was a
clip
kid.
of
at
the
the age of
cattle.
curiosity
Yeah.
Yeah,
peak.
that clip was from Faces of Death. I own Faces
Yeah.
of Death 1, 2, and 3, and I remember that strictly from there. But Preston, I know you like in-depth and movies that make you feel. Did this movie make you feel? Did you come into this? Because I know Chelsea said like it's depressing, and your text said fuck. But what
Yeah.
what what did you expect and what did you get? What did you feel while watching it and after?
I actually really have to thank Chelsea for just priming me for what I was about to get into because I like to save the experience of talking the film that we're gonna discuss leading up to the discussion we're gonna have. So I literally finished it like within minutes of us starting this podcast because I want it to be as fresh on my mind as possible. But um, yeah, I do like to have watch films that are more, I guess, thoughtful and meaningful and has some interesting themes going on there. And it did while watching it, I very much thought of Fresh, the movie that we discussed on Fear and Loathing in Cinema, that I had a very strong reaction to,
We broke
because
up.
the yeah, the whole movie, Fresh and this one, it's just surrounding yourself with people that just have very sad existences and you just want to hug them and rescue them and all that. But
Yeah.
this film is also and it even references the film in it, which is Let the Right One In. So it had that vibe to it with the main relationship that's there between two friends. And then there was even a vampire's kiss kind of vibe to it as well with Nicolas Cage. Because I would say this, if I recommended this movie, hey, check out this vampire movie, and I recommended Vampire's Kiss, people would watch that and be like, "Oh my God, that was not what I was expecting from a Nicolas Cage vampire movie." Because that
Hmm.
movie really just dives headfirst into mental illness and all kinds of things. And this one very much is dealing with a lot of other real, very real aspects of life, especially in certain pockets of the world. And so, yeah, it definitely has a lot on its mind, and so it's not pleasant to watch, but it's something that definitely gets your mind going after you watch it. It's like more exciting, I guess, or more. I don't know if fun's the right word, but it has more power in its wake than watching it, I
Okay.
would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I think it does too. I think this movie is, for as quiet and subdued as it is, it does pack a bigger punch than let's
Yeah.
say like the loud Nicolas Cage Renfield does
Yeah,
of vampire movies. But I can't help but falling in love with this kid, even though who he is, because the whole movie you're like, okay, this is a vampire movie, but is the question you were asking yourselves at the end, is he a vampire? Was he a vampire for real? Or did he, or was he just acting like this to escape whatever situation he was in?
Well,
I
we're
mean,
gonna have to get into spoilers now. So
Right.
if
I
yeah.
mean, this
anybody
movie's
hasn't
almost
seen
10
it,
years. This movie's
let's do
almost
it.
10 years old. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but
Well,
I was gonna say, but even going into the movie in the opening scene, you see him uh
Yeah.
in like a bathroom stall, and you're like, okay, this is being established. This kid is a vampire. And even as you watch the movie and you start to see it unfold, there's still these things where I was like, is he, how old is he? Has he been this old for a really long time? Because the way and the gait in which he like he walks around, it's of someone older.
Yeah, he presents himself that
He
way.
presents himself like that. And then by the end, I'm just like, oh no, it's the worst possible ending. It's a kid who was forced to grow up too early and be an
Yeah.
adult when
Yeah.
he's still just a kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that. What do you think, Preston?
I think the exact same thing. It made me think a lot about my father, who was pretty much forced to be the adult of the family because he was often neglected. And for a lot of this movie is watching him just kind of walking around and observing. And I think after a little while, once you start to, as Chelsea noted, like you see some of the vampire cliches, so to speak, but then as you get further into the film, you start to see like the other side of it, or just, for instance, there's a sequence where this couple is trying to score some drugs. They're looking for cocaine and Molly, and then he spots this kid, him, walking along the street, and says, "Hey, do you know where I can find this?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, follow me." And he has like this pace where he walks very fast, and is like kind of like a mystery to him that also like ramps up the intensity of the film. And so the guy that's trying to get the drugs is following him, follows him into this dark space, and he's like, you know what? I gotta get the hell out of here. This is fucked up. And then the gang comes in, the gang that's been around for the whole film, and it has kind of a vampire quality to it as well. Like he lured them into this trap because in the same way that Fresh, the movie we were just talking about, like he's quietly playing a game of chess, just like that. Like he's plotted out what's going to happen by the end of the film that we're in the dark in, and then all the reveals happen at the end. You're like, oh shit, he's been quietly doing this the entire time. And so, like to set up that trap, I was like, oh shit, that was pretty smart. But it also has a connection, stronger connection to vampirism because he's feeding them to the vampires in a way. This
Mhm.
guy that's trying to get the drugs. So there's all kinds of moments like that that are just very quiet but are powerful in that way that have something for you to think about like that.
Right.
I I to go back to like the vampire cliches and stuff. We're going into it and you see him right after, and spoiler, okay. Um you see him right after eat a bowl of cereal. And so I'm like, "Oh, we're horror nerds. Like we know that if a vampire probably eats human food, it's poison, it's bad for them, he's going to get sick." And we see him throw up a few times, and I'm like, okay, he's trying to be normal. um but that's not it.
What is it?
It's because he's just a kid who's drinking blood and he gets
Yeah.
sick because you're not supposed to drink other people's blood. Because there's another scene after where he does it to a little girl, and
Yeah.
he just retches
Yeah.
right after.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's interesting about it is for him is because you find out pretty early on that he doesn't have any friends. He
Yeah.
establishes that himself. he's so used to having this quiet existence, and because he's raising himself essentially. I know he has his brother, and the scenes with his brother are some of the best ones dialogue wise. But he's because he's living that life, he creates rules for himself. He deeply connects with vampire films, and because he relates to their existence and this kind of the loneliness of that lifestyle or just that life. And I think by him establishing these very detailed rules for himself, he feels like he has purpose, and he's trying to discover that for himself. And so um, that's what was unique, like him marking the calendar, making sure that he's adhering to something in his life, like he feels like he's following something. And for some people, that's religion or what have you, and for him, that's what it is. So yeah, I just thought that was really interesting too.
I love that. And so what's cool when I first watched this, I thought of you, Preston, but um, when you are watching this for the first time, specifically Preston and of course Chelsea, his collection of
Hmm.
video cassettes of
Yeah,
VHS tapes, and you see the titles of all of the
mhm.
vampire and horror
Yeah,
movies. I just thought like, oh, Preston's gonna love this. And
yeah,
then throughout the movie, or at least, the first half of the movie, him and his new friend, this white girl, all they do is talk about vampire movies and
yeah.
movies.
I kept thinking, I was like, man, he would have such a fire letterbox. Like,
Well, it would be like this is not realistic. This is realistic. This
yeah, that's why I'm saying he would be such like like he would be a horror influencer. He would be a horror critic. He'd be like, yes, no, Twilight sucks.
he would have a fire
Yeah.
letterboxed.
He would.
That's pretty good. Preston, what'd you think? Did you like that part about it?
Yeah, yeah. That's why I included it in my intro. I liked all those sequences because it feels very realistic that you just be sitting down with your significant other or someone that you're interested in and bonding over and then watching them watch it, like just it actually made me think a little bit of I Saw the TV Glow too, because it's just two people bonding over
Yeah.
films or VHS or a show, and the blurriness of the world within those videotapes in the world that they're living in and the connections between them, or the relationship between them. So there's a lot to think about there as well, I guess.
So I know we're gonna have a big episode on Nosferatu, the Eggers movie coming up, but in this movie, there's a moment where the two kids go to see a movie at the theater, and it's Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Did you like that? Since we all have seen Nosferatu, what did your eyes light up and you're like, oh shit, like this is
Well,
kind of
I
cool.
was wondering what he was going to take her to see. One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has like he has Nosferatu on his wall,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and that kind of spoke to the my curiousness of, oh, is this an actual like vampire? Is he older? Did these things film when he was a kid or something like that? And so all of that, him loving these kind of like older vampire movies and older horror movies kind of adds to the mystique of, is this real? Is this fake? What is this? But yeah, I love the Nosferatu.
Right. I mean, and then there's like elements of gothic romance and sacrifice in Transfiguration, as it was in Nosferatu. Like this little kid, who his name in the movie is Milo, played by Eric Ruffin. Milo feels like he sacrifices himself for the girl he loves, or the girl that he thinks he loves, the only one that's been a friend to him, Sophie, played by Chloe Levine. What did you think that, Preston, at all?
Think what specifically?
Like the gothic romance element, kind of similar to a Nosferatu style in a modern day kind of wire ghetto type of situation.
A little, but I still feel like it reminded me more, like I said earlier, of Let the Right One In, just like this strong friendship of these two people who are struggling to live with their current circumstances, and they just connect over that and deeply care for each other. And I think that's what makes it such an emotionally rewarding film by the end of it, despite what happens to him, his fate. It he wants a life better for his brother Lewis because his existence is just sitting on that couch and just every once in a while his brother will pop out there and they'll have something meaningful to discuss, but it's kind of he the fact that he was plotting out all that gang stuff and then you find out that oh he was in that gang and this would maybe will unhook the hold on him that's like yes his brother is out of that life but maybe this could propel him to live a life that's not holding him back anymore. And
Mhm.
then he places her in a better spot to feel like through their being together that she might be better off now in kind of like a end of Drive kind of way, I guess, the movie Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said earlier, Preston, that the best or your favorite scenes in the film, The Transfiguration, was between Milo and his brother Lewis. And I'm
Yeah.
curious just because in the film it's established that both of their parents had died and they're just on their own. And it seems like they're in this depressive state of not getting off the couch, being very quiet. What did you like about the scenes with the two brothers?
I felt like it offered some discussion about the things that happen in the film because like I said so much of it is observational like you're just there's not a lot of dialogue you're just kind of seeing these events unfold and like for instance one of my favorite sequences is when Milo is in his room with her and then they're starting to really deeply connect and then she steps out and then his brother says like I see you brah that was nice it's just like this kind of moment that brings a bit of humanity to it it's like there you are growing up being a kid and
Hmm.
then going through the events of life in adolescence or as you're reaching adolescence so that was nice and then they'll talk about like some real true stuff too like after he sets up that situation where that guy that's trying to score drugs, and then he gets questioned by the police, and then the police drop him off in a spot that makes it look put some more pressure on him because it looks like he snitched to the police that these that they killed this guy. And then they discuss that, and it's like, did it did it make me did I look like I snitched to them? I don't know, I don't think so. It's just like there every big situation that happens, it usually ends with them having a discussion about it, and sometimes it can be some of the most emotionally intense moments, or it could be something as the warmer areas like that one that I just talked about where he said that was nice. So yeah.
Good. Good. I'm glad you liked those moments because I thought those moments were very sincere. And this
Yeah.
movie is
It's really when he says, when his brother Lewis says, whatever you're doing, somebody's doing it out there much worse. To
yeah.
Yes.
say like, no matter, how awful of a person you may think you are for whatever you've done, there's always somebody worse out there. So he's trying to make his brother feel better for his actions. And it also says something that, I don't really care to know either. Like, I still love you at the end of the day.
Yeah. So what do you think about the character Milo? Do you think he's a good person? Do you think he's a bad person? Because I think Milo himself even says in the show or in the movie and even in a letter that he's no good, he's bad. Do you
I
think
think
he
he's
is
a
actually?
I think he's a victim of his environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just from
His
how he was raised and what he had to go
I
through
mean,
and
there's
survive.
several things to talk about. There's like just oppression in his environment. He's lonely in his community, like
Well, because he has nobody other than his
yes.
brother who just is on the couch the entire time watching
Yeah, and
TV.
his brother, you can see his brother, he had gone over to he had been in a war, and so coming back from that, you can see he's dealing with some issues as well. And so it's just these two young adults trying to have a compass and make their way through life, and they don't really have one. And it's really sad to see uh them be little adults but not really think about things on a rational scale. um yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was something as simple because you get that element as something as simple as when Chloe, Sophie, the white girl, asked Lewis, the brother, is like, as for something as simple as like, do you have an envelope or a piece of paper? And I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't
Oh
help her,
yeah.
but yeah, it's just like, oh man, they are maybe the PTSD or whatever. He cannot function off that couch yet, and so it's sad to see. And there's just something about this movie that do you think it would have worked without the vampire quality to it? Like without that added genre, do you think the movie still would work? Where the kid would just be killing people with a gun or his penknife? Or do you think the vampire
I mean,
adds a
it did the movie Fresh.
Okay, there you go.
So I just think that it I mean that's why we're big fans of horror and sci-fi is because it can speak so much about the world that we're living in while being so far distant from it as well. And I think that the vampirism allows you to go into it a little bit deeper, or it offers a little bit of padding for you to be able to accept some of these hard themes that are going on here. And so I don't think that it would have worked as well. Just for my own personal taste with my my love for the genre, that I think I could see myself thinking a little bit more about this film than I would be Fresh, even though Fresh has those moments where it's very hardcore. But so yeah, I think you could it can happen or it can exist both ways, but personally I gravitate towards something like this because I like that poetry of it, of connecting it to the genre or connecting it to vampirism because there's it's such a beautiful um, articulation of what his feelings are and how
Yeah.
he's living in the world. And so to you have to connect it somehow or make it feel like you're talking about these themes in a way that feel like, yes, these people know exactly how people that are maybe going through similar situations feel. Yeah, I think that it just works better with this personally.
Yeah, as soon as this ended, I just I just like looked over to Mike and I was like, I think this might be worse than Fresh for me.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, yeah, just because I couldn't stop thinking about it. It's not, I think it is, I think the thing that breaks my heart the most is they had so much trauma and they had so many things happen to them that this is the way that he decides to cope. And at the end of it, it's just the saddest thing because you want him, you want he's in that morgue, you want that zipper to unzip, you
Well,
want
like,
that hand to come out of the dirt,
yeah,
you want all
you're
this stuff to happen. And I go, fuck,
well,
it was
that
just a
moment
kid.
when he's shot, and it's so perfectly done because he gets shot in the arm, and then there's a pause, and then it's just bullets flying.
Yeah.
And then when you are led for an hour and a half to believe like he's a vampire, he's going to survive this. But then they go as far as like taking him in the ambulance, putting him on the table, cutting him open, taking his heart out. And you're like, is it going to beat? Is it going to still be beating? Or when he's zipped up in the morgue bag, is the morgue bag going to sit up? And
Yeah.
it never comes. And you're just like, oh my God, what?
And that's what's so heartbreaking about that, because, and I think that sequence is done very well
Yeah.
because it's showing you for all the realism he talks about in the movie. That's just kind of, in the kind of meta-ness of him talking about Let the Right One In and all these other vampire movies. To see that, and to see him die, and to see that happen, and to see that it is a cold world, and this was not real, and this was all just a trauma thing, that that broke me last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It made me think a little bit of even when we were discussing Heretic. Like, as Heretic has a very cold ending like that, where it's kind of agnostic a little bit on its views on life.
Mhm.
And so I felt the same way as Chelsea did, with like this want for him to succeed, because you can see like all these moments of um, where humanity is really coming through for him, or he could see that there's a beautiful side to life when you're in the company of people who actually genuinely care about you. And that's why it's like great with these little small moments, like him forgetting to, draw blood on the circle date on the calendar, and he's like, "Oh man, I was having like such a good time that I didn't adhere to, I didn't follow my own rules," and he creates consequences for himself for that. But then it's like he finally has reached this point, like even when he was talking to Sophie toward the end about like none of that matters anymore. It's fine. Like it it's like that we're just going to be referencing a lot of films, but even like The Departed, with the relationship that Leonardo DiCaprio has with Vera Farmiga toward the end, where he's like, you know what, if you got anything to tell me in 2 weeks, where it's like
Yeah.
the setup of the promise of something greater, that Hollywood happy ending type of thing that you want, but then no,
That's not
that's
it.
not real,
Yeah.
So boom, here
Yeah.
you go.
Did you like the like his letter to her at the end? Because I
Yeah,
thought that was brilliant because
Yeah,
it's
because
so
it's
sad, and then
funny.
it makes you laugh that it's him in that letter. He's like, I did read Twilight. It sucked.
Yeah, that's exactly what like a kid his age would say.
Yeah.
And I just think that was so authentic, and but it's him, and it's showing you a little more of his personality, which is, he doesn't talk to a lot of people, but the only people we really see him in, like, very interacting with, besides like the kind of people that live in his building, are his girlfriend and his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I love the swerve of the movie, that swerves you, because throughout the movie he's talking about suicide and that a vampire can never commit suicide. He's talking about he has this plan. Like, I have this plan, and you're thinking in your mind, okay, he's gonna make a better life for himself, for his brother and everybody, but his whole plan was to figure out a way to take himself out. And that's just so heartbreaking that at a kid that
Yeah.
age knew what he was doing 10 steps ahead of everybody.
Well, I really like the cuts to, I think he's talking to like a school counselor,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and talking like a school psychologist counselor, whatever, talking about, are you still hurting animals? And
right.
it's like, no. Do you think about it? Yes. And at that point, you're still on the fence. Like, is he a vampire? Of course, that's how he would be hurting animals, like drinking them for their blood, as to not go for humans. But then just by the end, you realize he was just a very troubled child. And it is the saddest thing. I could not sleep last night thinking about it, and how kind of trauma shapes our world when you are that young. I mean, yes, when you're an adult, but when you're that young and when you're that impressionable, and you don't have adults or people supporting you to guide your way,
Yeah.
it's just the most heartbreaking thing.
It is. It is. And so there's a moment in the film towards the end when Milo and his girl, the white girl, are on the beach, and there's a moment where he attacks her. At that moment, what was your reaction like? Where you're just like, "Wait, is that actually happening?"
I felt like I knew that was like a he
Uh,
was hungry, but he it was like a fantasy. Yeah.
okay. Were you excited that it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
No,
didn't
it's good
want
to see her. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't want him to knife her with his little knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just showing exactly what Chelsea was just talking about with him in that counselor's office, talking about he thought about it. He's
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
thinking about it right then and there. He's been surrounded by it, but then he also, he's teasing the thought, but he also knows what's on the other side of that, and
Yeah.
it's nothing good, so he'd rather be where he is.
Yeah. That's a did this movie surprise you?
Yes.
It did, but I wasn't in the mood for it. But this
Bitch, you watched it at 6 in the morning, 7 in
I
the
know.
morning.
Well, I guess this whole week I haven't been in the mood for something like this, but talking about it right now makes me feel a little bit better.
And
Yeah.
are you pissed that you have like this director, you haven't seen him do anything else? Like I feel like he needs, I mean, his first film he ever did and the only film he's ever done, like premiered at Cannes, like and people love this. This has a great rating on Rotten Tomatoes. People like this movie. Why hasn't he made another movie like this?
I don't know. Make more movies.
Yeah. Do you like the main kid, the main two?
No, they're
Oh
Yeah.
good.
yeah.
They haven't been
I
in
think
much, but
I
the
think
brother has.
that main kid has both the aura of a kid and an adult at the same time. And that's what's so confusing, like going through this movie. Because I was like, even the way he walks, the way he talks, when he talks about like realism, he's trying to be rooted in reality. And I'm like, okay, this is like he's probably 150 years old, you know? So
There's a dog. The dog wants to
there's
talk
a
about it.
dog.
Preston, when you were watching this and you bring up the movie Fresh, which is an amazing movie, were you scared that there was going to be a similar situation in this one?
I didn't think he was gonna kill a dog, even though it seemed like it was gonna go that way, but I just didn't think so. But I was a little bit worried about the videos that he was watching because he was looking for ways to kind of ease himself into what he was doing, the bad side of himself, and so he was trying to kind of normalize it for himself through all that, and so it had it had a stronger reason for doing that than just shooting the dog like he did in Fresh.
Right.
Yeah.
And like what's funny about this movie Transfiguration, or not, or really great, like another added bonus detail is that, it's in a time when you're watching internet videos and YouTube videos, he's watching this crazy Faces of Death stuff, and he's
Mhm.
had a bad life. His girlfriend, the white girl, has also had a very bad life. Both of her parents are dead. She's living with her grandfather, who is violently abusive to her. But she's watching Where's My Chapstick?
Oh my God.
She's watching
That
like
brought
funny,
me
happy
back.
videos, and she has like a happier perspective on life.
And that just made me so sad because thinking about it more, I'm like, oh, well, he's obviously an older vampire. He's not going to think that this stuff is that funny. But then I'm like, no, he's just a kid, a really fucked up kid who doesn't think it's funny because he's so like the whole thing's really sad.
To me, what I took away from it, because I've had friendships like this, primarily one where there's a quote in Into the Wild where he says some people, I may have even brought it up before on this podcast. I can't recall, but anyway, the line is some people feel like they don't deserve happiness, so they walk away, um, like f to cold spaces or something like that. And that's very much his existence with like we were talking about with him watching those videos. It's like he knows that he's this animal or he has this flawed thinking. And I talked about how he casualizes that for himself through watching it, but then he'll have a moment like he did with his brother, like I already said, where it's like, it's okay. Like, you're fine. And you shouldn't feel bad for the way that or bad for who you are as a person. But then what I get from the scenes where he's watching like that chapstick video or they have discussions about Twilight, it's like, hey, it's okay to live in this fantasy land. Like the world is shit, dude. Like you gotta have some fun. You can't just punish yourself because you are the way that you are. Like everyone deserves happiness. Maybe not everyone, but for him, he
Yeah.
deserves some happiness. And so I don't know. There's a lot to take away from it in very subtle ways like that.
Do you want this in a big collection, like a physical release with new interviews and stuff? I want to hear from these people. I want to hear from the director and writer. I want to hear from these actors about making this and coming back to it, 10 years later and just like, oh man, we had something beautiful. I don't know. It's a different vampire movie, and I'm glad we discussed it on here because I feel like I'm the only person that's watched it. And
Yeah.
so now to have friends and colleagues, people I respect in the John in this realm, watch it and actually like it, even though it is fucking depressing. I like that stuff.
I, I think the best art is one that holds, like, it's cliche, but the best art is always the one that holds a mirror up to you and makes you see things in a different way. And this really made me, it's not that I don't see things that way, it's just that sometimes you forget. We're all just trying to, we're all just trying to uh find those chapstick videos on the internet and
Escape.
disassociate from the craziness of life and stuff. And this was very, I use movies as a lot of my for escape. This was kind of like a,
Yeah.
hey, things like this happen. And I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole thing is just, it's sad, it's heartbreaking, but it's also the best kind of art, the art that makes you think about your own life, about the world around you, and about kind of like all these oppressive systems and all just everything that happens.
Yeah. That's why I really think Chelsea should finish The Last Showgirl because like I put in my little write-up, that was a movie I didn't know that I needed to experience those feelings. And this is another one of those cases where it's, yes, I am guilty of wanting to watch the more fun movie that allows me to escape because so much around me feels too real and I just want to
Yeah.
disassociate, like you said.
Yeah.
Um, but then on the other side of it, you can have a conversation like the one that we're having right now,
Yeah.
or just a lot of unexpected things. Because I also am, I go out in the world and sometimes I move too quickly. I don't have a lot of patience for people, and a film like this or a film like The Last Showgirl can cause you to kind of understand people a little bit better and be like in the impulse decisions that they may make and how people punish themselves, and that's the reason why they are the way they are and things like that. So I don't know. It brings a lot of relatability or understanding, grand understanding of people around us.
Yeah. I liked Last Showgirl. Pamela Anderson is excellent in it.
Did you see they paired her up with Mikey Madison for
Yeah,
Actors on Actors?
Yes.
yeah,
I did see that.
Very cool.
It is good. The Last Showgirl feels a lot very similar in tone to The Wrestler.
wrestler. Yeah,
Yeah. So
Okay.
a lot of similar shots and a lot of stuff like that. Um,
I will say, I know we're not really reviewing The Last Showgirl, but the cinematography at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, this is awful. Like, stop it. It's
the
like
rest,
so close, and then when the themes really take over, you're like, oh, this is great. And then I was like, Jamie Lee Curtis was better in this movie than she was in the movie that she won the Oscar for.
yeah. So
Well,
yeah, it's
yeah.
it's good, but I know you were like, oh man, because you were real depressed. I was like, oh, you're gonna do that. Watch Hundreds of Beavers. I mean, Hundreds of Beavers has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is
Yeah.
funny as shit. Like it is.
Yeah.
There's a
That's a
review,
labor of love that I have many questions about that movie.
but it's so goddamn funny. But Transfiguration, it's available everywhere to buy and rent digitally. Also, I think it's free on Tubi that you
hmm
could watch it there. But please, this gets my highest recommendation for people who are just looking for something different in the vampire horror world, considering Nosferatu's coming out. Like, do y'all recommend this?
Yeah, I recommend it if you're feeling up to it, because there's sometimes when when you're sad and you just kind of need a sad movie to be like, okay, I'm human and all that. Or so when if you're in that headspace, I think it's a good one to watch, and maybe just set up the Twilight like movie at the end of it for yourself. You're gonna need the palate cleanser like we've been teasing with Hundreds of Beers.
I would I would definitely recommend this because I think it's a very underrated horror movie. I think I've never when you brought it up, I was like, I've never heard about this. I've never read about this. And so you know, I just looked it up after you said it and I was like, wow, this looks really interesting. And it had such high ratings from critics and stuff. So I think this is one of those gems, horror, more kind of psychological drama,
Yeah.
that a lot of people haven't seen, and I think this is something they can add to their repertoire, and
Yeah.
not not like an annual watch or anything, but something to experience, something that's new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recommend it, or people can recommend this to others if they're willing to accept that they're going to get a text or a call saying "fuck you," and then the next day they might give them a hug and say, "You know what? Thank you for that."
Yeah.
I feel like that's y'all's relationship with me constantly. It's just like, fuck you. And
And then it's
then,
like, okay,
okay,
okay, bring
okay,
it in, bring it
bring
in.
it in. Bring it in. We are My Bloody Podcast. That is the Transfiguration. Please go see it. We will be back, and I'm sure we will be back with Dan Moran for Nosferatu since we all want to discuss that here on My Bloody Podcast, for better or worse. But yeah, we are My Bloody Podcast. I'm Bryan Kluger. You can find me everywhere on the internet. High Def Digest and Boomstick Comics, Bryan Kluger everywhere. Radio shows, all the good stuff. It's always fun. And you can catch my amazing, truthful, wicked review very soon. Chelsea, where are they finding
Bro.
you?
On your letterbox, fucking trolling you for that review. I'm gonna do that right
I read it
after.
to Haley, and she was like, my wife, and she's like, I swear, I feel like Brian just says stuff to get reactions out of people. And then me and another friend were talking about it, and we talk a lot about you, Brian. That's your effect.
Yeah.
Good.
And
Do you know
it's
how
like,
many I was just gonna say, do you know how many of my friends, this is I have the same thing as Preston. Do you know how many of my friends are like, Brian gave it 2 stars, but you gave it five. I like, what is it? Is it good? Is it bad?
See, it brings people. It brings people. What were you saying, Preston?
j just that you already had your mind set that you were gonna hate it,
Yeah,
and there was no
That's why my
getting
opening
around.
line.
But I will say that that doesn't add up with Oppenheimer, because I think you
it
really
doesn't.
wanted that movie to be good and it didn't.
I
But
did.
it does hold truth with Osgood Perkins. So
Yeah, fuck
I don't
off.
know, man.
I'm saying that's why I put that funny ass line in the thing. I was like, this was so much better than I thought. 1.5 stars, which is pretty damn funny. But yeah, I got to write a real review for it because I feel like I have to get it all out. But yeah, it was that was it was yeah, we'll talk about that later. But that's where huh?
Jonathan Bailey is a treasure.
I like Jonathan Bailey. All right, Preston, where are they finding you at trolling me?
They can find me, my wicked loving self, at Blu-ray Dad on Instagram, and I actually have some interviews coming that I did. So I did interviews again for Rings of Power, and then I did an interview to talk about the sweetness of animals with an Apple TV series that's coming out later called The Secret Lives of Animals. So I did a interview for that. So I actually have some stuff going. So I'm not completely dead with what I was doing before. So you'll find that on my Instagram or Denton Record-Chronicle, dentonrc.com.
I really hope that you bring up the movie Fresh to these animal loving interviews. You're like, have you seen Fresh? You should watch
No,
Fresh.
no, that's not good.
Yeah.
All right. We are My Bloody Podcast. Thank you for listening.